Hey, apartment dwellers, do you find yourself cramped with plants in a tiny space? Well, I have a solution for you. I'm going to introduce you to vertical gardening, and also, can we get rid of these things? It'll make your place pop. Not just your place, but also your plants. You know, love them or hate them. I'm choosing to hate them right now. Moss poles are a fixture in our planty worlds, supporting our plants, allowing them to climb up like one does in nature, you know. I mean, look, I have plenty of plants climbing on moss poles, like my philodendron splendid, for instance. Yeah, they really help bring out those big, bushy, beautiful leaves for our climbing plants, and they help support them. I mean, they're great, you know, but then they kind of get out of control at some points, and you know, you can only make them look just so pretty. But like I was saying, they get out of control. I mean, take a look at my philodendron gigas over there. I mean, that thing had grown so large that it toppled over onto my alocasia zebrina. So yeah, that is one of the plant chores that I have to fix tonight. But I want to tell you about a solution, an alternative to these moss poles. You know, so and this is also a really cool aesthetic look. I got some of these babies. These, my friends, are going to go on the walls, these wooden trellises. And so, what I'm thinking for a wider shot, you know, because just so you can get a better idea of the lay of the land here in the urban jungle of Kevin, I'm thinking I want to have one on this side and then also maybe that side. But we're going to focus on this side over here because see where this Dracaena is? I'm going to move that Dracaena, I believe, up to my office and it'll be in a better spot up there because it's a lower light plant. But behind it, I want to put up one of those trellises, and still trying to figure out which plant I'm going to put up there. I think it's going to be my philodendron Jose Bono because I think that would look so beautiful up against there. But like I was also saying, that I'm thinking about maybe on the other side there, taking down that hanging area and then just putting one up so they kind of go side by side, you know? So I don't know. I think it'll be fun. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But here's the thing. I've done these trellises not only upstairs in the bedroom, but also my office, and I love the way they look because, you know, when you run out of space when it comes to big plants and having so many plants, you need to think vertically. Vertical space. If you have vertical space, I'm very fortunate to have 20-foot ceilings here. And I want to take advantage of that space because there's only so much ground area. And, you know, vertical space is the way to go. So here's what I'm thinking, guys. I'm thinking I'm going to put this on a little time lapse while I start to put this together. And I'm going to do a little narration over it. Don't worry, don't worry. I have actually won an Emmy Award for Best Narrator. There it is, the proof right there, best narrator. So now you're going to have to deal with my voice for a little bit up until I return.
Until then, you get to deal with me struggling to deal with this. This is the point where I'm going to try and figure out exactly what I'm going to do with the trellis. You see that barrel stand that I just pushed up against there? That barrel stand cost me $20 at a Ross. That white pot was given to me for free by my building manager, and it fit the Jose Bono perfectly. The big problem now is trying to figure one thing out in particular.
Okay, hold up. We're just going to hit the pause button for a second because getting taken into consideration, I guess, is whether or not this will actually fit on the trellis. So if it doesn't, though, I'm thinking that this Syngonian Chaya Pens would look lovely on it, but I'm going to still effort the Jose Bono because I think it would look awesome. So let's continue on with the time lapse.
Because there is nothing more exciting than that part in the time lapse where you start untying, the plant from its old moss pole. A moss pole, of course, like I said, wanting to get rid of. But the problem with this plant is that I had it growing so gangly up that moss pole that its stem is all over the place. It looks like a snake. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to attach it to this trellis. And it's tricky because those leaves just kind of go everywhere with their stems. and I want to make sure that none of them got snapped off. So now I'm just kind of putting a little hook on there just to make sure that it stays up without causing too much damage. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And now I'm just starting to attach it. And I'm doing so with just some wiring at first because it just made it a little bit easier. But then I switch over to ties because they hold together plants, leaves, stems, everything better than anything I've tried before. And it's all about trying to fill out that area and make sure that you really can't see too much. Like, I don't want to see too many bare spots, you know? Fortunately, this plant has big leaves.
And stop again. So here's the situation now is that I have to bring in all of the leaves so they're not just like, wah, up against the wall, you know? So that's what we're doing. And I'm using some of these cable ties. I couldn't remember the name of them, so I had to look at the back. These cable ties, you know? And what we're going to do is just kind of like put them around here. And when I had this plant up in my office, just up until recently, up until I brought it down here, this is what I did to kind of tie it to that moss pole. So I'm hoping that this will work well too. Because really, I mean, I've tried so many other things, and I did use some like plant wiring that I had, and I've tried it before, but man, I gotta tell you, these zip ties, and not, what does it say? Cable ties. I know them as zip ties. I'm sure you guys know them as zip ties too. Zip ties. Zip ties work wonders, and I absolutely love them. But let's take a closer look because when you see it from over hither, I think you'll get a better idea of what I'm dealing with and trying to figure out over here. So I think like okay, I want these two tied together, but maybe. And the thing is, too, at the same time, I'm trying not to like. I'm trying to be gentle with them. Luckily, this is a philodendron Jose Bono, and they are very strong, sturdy plants. And I haven't had any of them snap. Though I don't know if you were paying super close attention to the time lapse, but I did end up cutting, and I didn't snap it. I did end up cutting one of the leaves off, and that's just because it was getting in the way of everything. So I'm sorry, leaf, but you are no longer part of the plant. Awful. I'm such a awful plant person. Okay, but what's going on here? Okay, so if I bring these two closer together, it's not going to solve the problem. I need to pull it more this way. Okay, but I'm not going to, I'm almost out of zip ties. Why does this have to happen right now? Okay, this one should have been further in. Oh gosh, man, did I screw this up? Well, did it again, Kevin. Okay, I need some wiring. And where did I put that wiring? Okay, I found the wiring, but it's all like knotted up. You guys are like, wow, this guy here. And we actually watch him on the YouTube. The YouTube. Remember when Facebook was the Facebook? I remember that. Good times, right? In the comments, I'm curious to know if you wouldn't mind telling me if you folks have dealt with any trellises. Do you use them on indoor plants? Because I love this idea of doing this, and it looks so beautiful, especially like in our bedroom and in the my office. I just love seeing them, and it's a really unique way of kind of showcasing your plants. And what I also love about using trellises is the aeration that comes along with them for the plants, like because obviously there is nothing behind them, and so it's nice the plants will have like that breathing room for their aerial roots. Let's see here. So if I take this and I move this around here, will this give me, let me loop it around. And that's the thing is like, I'm very big on the aesthetic looks, as you guys know, and I don't want this to look nasty. So I think what I need to do is once I get this baby, this big baby all together, is that then I go through and I dissect all of these like loose chords and all that nonsensical nonsense. Wow, I'm really good at the English language, right? Oh, so you know what? What, Kevin? My buddy Todd, who owns the Bronze Pedal here in Denver, is the one who gave me this plant. Oh gosh, this was probably 2 years ago now. And so when I got it, it was just like, I believe, 3 leaves, but man, was that big leaf that came with it, the mother leaf, a big paddleboard leaf. And it started with, yeah, just those 3 or 4 leaves. You'll see here in the picture. And then it blossomed into this big beauty. So if you've never owned a Jose Bono before, um, you've always been curious about what it might be like, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you. These plants grow fast. I mean, really, really super duper fast. And they do put out these big paddleboard leaves. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why aren't the bigger leaves and on top larger like they should be, right? With a plant. And you know what? You are right. But Kevin was not cautious and taking care of this plant because he had it in his office because he wanted it in the background of his team's, meetings, and it looked really nice in the background. But the problem is that I do have grow lights in my office, but it has no natural light, like no windows. And I never ran the humidifier. I mean, I have a humidifier in there, but rarely do I fill it up. And so, yeah, this plant just was like, help me. Somebody break me out of here and bring me downstairs where the rest of the plants thrive. And so that's what I did after it was crying nonstop. So here we are. And yeah, I think I have a grasp on it. So while Kevin, i.e., me, decides to get a better grasp on this plant by tightening up those zip ties and making sure the Jose Bono is in tip top shape, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to check in on my YouTube community poll where I asked you folks a very simple question. Are you still into moss poles or are you over them? 90 of you voted, and 31% of you said, I like them. 40% said, over them. And 29% said, indifferent. Jorge Canales said, I was never into sphagnum moss poles. I do have one pothos climbing up, but I'm using coconut chips. Nice. And G said, never had them, never will. Don't blame you one bit. And Mistress Birmingham said, never got into them in the first place. And with what I've been hearing from a lot of YouTubers lately about how they're over them, I'm so glad I didn't. I am with you there. All right, back to zip tying. Looks like we're getting things in tip top shape. And our plant is looking beautiful. Not just our plant, but our entire space. By the way, I love how I just refer to it as our, as in you guys live with me. I didn't realize we're at that point in our relationship, but I am here for it. Hey, let's start over here since that's the majority, the focus, the main focus of this segment has been today. The Jose Bono up against the wooden trellis. And oh, I love the way that it looks. And the plant's doing really well. Popped out that new leaf since I put it up. And what I decided to do was do a little mix mash of plants over here. Not only do I have the Jose Bono climbing up the wall with a nice Sensi grow light above it to give it the extra light it wants, but I also put my Alocasia cupra, my black velvet Alocasia over here, standard ivy pothos, and my big bushy philodendron gloriosum. And I just love the way that those colors mix and match together. And behind me, you'll see that it carries on and continues on along the TV stand where I have my Syndapsis exotica mixed in with my neon green pothos, which I've had over here for 5 or 6 months now. But then when we get to this side over here, remember when I was like, well, I might do something with that? Well, I did. I went all out, but I didn't end up using the other trellis. I had this old wooden ladder, and I have my jade satin Syndapsis climbing and growing on it. But the thing is that I had it upstairs in our bedroom, and I wasn't taking good care of the plant. So I figure, you know what? Why not do something different with it? And I'll have it in an area where I can pay more closer attention to it. And so I put it up here, and I love the way it looks. And what I decided to do, because I realized that between both sides there's just too much dark green, I wanted to add some color in it to pop. So I have a bromeliad as well as some other foliage that just kind of makes it stand out a little bit more, which is important to me. And surrounding it, I have some of my anthurium, like my crystallinum, my clarinervia, my heart's desire. And yeah, I love the way that this area just kind of turned out. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, Kevin, you did just say in the beginning of this how much you dislike and loathe moss poles now, which is true. But yeah, I do have my philodendron splendid climbing up one, but that's only because I had it climbing up there since it was a little cutting. And what I wanted to do is become really big and bushy so it fills up the entire moss pole, just so I don't have to look at that. So that's the reason why, okay? Don't call me out. But you'll notice above here, above the TV, what I decided to do was this area was just kind of looking like blank, with both sides filled. And I was like, well, I have another neon green pothos, just like this one down here, inside of a black Wally grow planter that I'm really not doing anything with. It was kind of just sitting in an area above the dining room that, nobody really cared about the plant up there. But I'm like, oh, well, that's a darker colored planter. That'll be perfect because it matches with the TV stand and the TV. And so what I decided to do, guys, was create a frame around the entire TV, and it also blends well with the neon green pothos below it, and so it adds more color to the wall. And I love the way that it turned out as a TV frame, because what a good use of it, right? So yeah, using vertical space is a game changer, and it's something I never really thought about early on in my plant journey, but man, oh man, has this changed everything. But hey, I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my planty videos. And if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification ding dong bell there for more fun and interesting planty content just like this. By the way, if you want to know how I put together all of this nonsensical urban jungle stuff, put put your I can't even talk here. Check out this video in the corner, because I recently did a segment about how I put all this together in this urban jungle where myself, my husband, two dogs, and 15 million plants live. Check it out. I'll see you guys in the next video.